So I have to say, LSS continues to impress me. Hello everyone, I'm Andrew, and this is Go Again, a fabulous cast. So I grant you that I probably shouldn't be as surprised given their track record, but after being let down by so many other gaming companies over the years, LSS is really starting to become a breath of fresh air. Why am I saying this? Well, when Arcane Rising came out with the introduction of the 4 new heroes, I think many of us were surprised to see, and even a little disappointed to see that there weren't starter decks for those. So in that time, or since then, many people have asked the question, well, if there were going to be starter decks for these heroes, what would they look like? People have theory crafted it, people have talked about it, and LSS went ahead and on the 30th of March released an article that had what those decks would have been. So that's what we're going to do in this series, is go through the hero decks for Arcane Rising. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 18 of Go Again. In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the proposed starter deck for my girl, the Ranger, Azalea. Alright, so the strategy for this, as outlined by LSS, reads, Azalea aims to fire one big arrow. Having cards that cause your next attack to be bigger, that pairs perfectly with Azalea's hero ability of giving the card Dominate. Use Opt to ensure the top deck is the arrow you want, and defeat your opponent with a single arrow. Her advantages are that she defends well because she only needs 2 or 3 cards in her hand to actually still do the attack, remember, because you're trying to play it from the top. The disadvantages are that defense reactions stop the big attack but can't do much with 1 card hands. In other words, if you're dumping your hand to stay alive, you're going to have a hard time, which is kind of a general thing anyway, right? So just a reminder before we go into the deck list of what Azalea does, we kind of alluded to already, but once per turn for 0, put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, put the top card of your deck face up into your arsenal. If it's an arrow card, it gains Dominate until the end of turn. Go again, right? So that's what you're trying to do, is set up, get that arrow in. It has Dominate, so they're limited on their defense, and then you just punch through. Okay? So going through this deck, one of the things you'll notice right away is how large the one pitch is, right? Azalea has a relatively low cost curve, which helps keep her deck, I think, pretty flexible. I do like the look of this deck compared to some of the other starter decks. So just going down the list, also do note that she is 20x, there's 23 X's in this, so I won't call out the 3 X's. So her hero weapon equipment, Azalea herself, of course, her super awesome bow, the Death Dealer. She's been playing the Bracers, Talismanic Lens, the Null Room Robe, the Null Room Boots, right? All new stuff from Arcane Rising. Pitch 1 is 3 headshots, 3 hamstring shots, 3 salvage shots, 3 searing shots. Those are all your arrows. Ravenous Rabble, Take Cover, Take Aim, Plunder Run. I do like that card. 3 Come to Fight, and 3 Foresight. The 2 pitch is Ridge Rider Shot, Salvage Shot, Sick'em Shot. Those are all your arrows. Ravenous Rabble, and then Come to Fight. And then pitch 3, we have a headshot, hamstring shot, Ridge Rider Shot, searing shot, and Sick'em Shot. So all of your pitch 3s are arrows. All right, so just some cards that I called out that I think you're going to be looking for when you're playing this deck. Headshot, just a fundamental arrow card, right? For 1, if it's put in your arsenal face up, it gains +2 until end of turn. That's pretty neat. That's there in the 1 pitch and the 3 pitch. It also has hamstring shot, again, another arrow for 1. This 1 for 1 hits for 5. If it has Dominate, that becomes tough to block, right? Hamstring shots there in the 1 and the 3 pitch. If it hits a hero, the first attack on their next turn costs 1 extra to play. That's kind of a little, it's not bad at all. It's good. And I do think you're going to be hitting with this a lot if you're able to properly set up the Dominate. So that can kind of choke them out the next turn, which then helps you on your next turn as well. Kind of functionally, some of the cards that start to get this stuff to work, right? Your supporting cards, if you will. Take Aim. This is only in the 1 pitch, but it's a 0. The next Ranger attack action card you play this turn gains +3, and then Reload, which lets you stock your arsenal. Do note that Reload is face down, so Rich is relevant for some of the cards that we've already looked at. And then it has Go Again, of course. Then we have Take Cover. Take Cover I like a lot, so this is a defense reaction. It's something you're playing, obviously, on your opponent's turn, but it also has Reload, which lets you stock up your arsenal on your opponent's turn, not to mention the fact that it can block for 4. It's not too bad, right? Foresight. So Foresight is a generic action here, right? It's not Ranger specific. It's present in the 1 pitch as well here. But the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3, right? That kind of fits into what we've already seen. It naturally has Go Again. What's interesting is if Foresight is played from Arsenal, you get to opt. So you may or may not be able to get this guy in your arsenal functionally, but you may also be, remember, it has to be played from Arsenal, right? So you can't chuck it with Azalea's ability and get the bonus. But if you kind of find yourself in a pinch, you can stick it in there and then do your thing. Then we have Plunder Run. I do like this card a lot. This one was actually spelled very early on, but it's present in the 1 pitch for 0. Next time an attack action you control hits this turn, draw a card. If it's played from Arsenal, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3, Go Again, right? So why this is important, why this is really good, I think, in this Ranger deck is you put it in the Arsenal, you play it from Arsenal, right? You figure out a way to reload, you top deck, and you're hitting for a bunch with Dominate. I realize that's a little harder to pull off, but it's not an impossible combo, and it should be doable if you can set stuff up correctly. All right, so those are just some of the highlights from the deck. This deck I really like a lot because I think it's really functional, right? It's not looking specifically at too many cards to pull off a combo. You have kind of a generic combo line of play that you can really deliver with a lot of possible cards that will be on the top. And as we saw on her list, there's a lot of arrows in there. So I think this one's probably pretty functional as a starter deck. So I'm going to be trying to put this one together actually and kind of smash it against some of the other ones, maybe even from previous. But I'm definitely looking at this and using this as a good starting point. I do, again, I have the link to the article. Go and check it out. The recommendations for improvement on this one, of course, as you would expect, is the Majestics and the Super. She's got some really great cards that go really well with her that, of course, you'll want to upgrade if you get. I do have to say, though, looking back, what I would add from the previous set into here, there's not a ton of cards, to be honest with you, that jump out at me right away. Azalea, I mean, you want the arrows, so she's a little more limited to her own set. Functionally, there's a couple cards that I guess could work, like maybe even Snatch could work, because remember, if that one hits, it gets you get to draw a card. That may or may not be valuable, but because my point is hitting with Snatch, drawing that card always seems to stink because stick with me, right? When you hit with Snatch, it doesn't have Go Again. So you get that card and you're like, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to stick it in your arsenal, which feeds your arrow, right? So that's what I was saying. I think Snatch may be worth trying to try with Azalea, just kind of as your end finisher. I don't know, but we will see, because again, a lot of times with her, you're going to be wanting to hit with your arrow as your last move. So. But I don't know, we'll see. So let me know what you're thinking about this deck. I really like the straight lines of play here with a lot of options. I think this one's a really attractive one. So let me know what you're thinking. Again, I want to thank LSS for going out of the way to do this. It's not something they had to do, and it was a very nice gesture to the community that's very appreciated. So if nothing else, go Commando.